Good morning, everyone. Teacher, please pause the video and distribute the notes to all students. Right. Okay, welcome all of you back. Let's introduce, all right, a new idea today, right? So let's start with one example. Say for example, we want to go to McDonald's and buy the ice cream. And every cone, right, actually costs $1, right? So just want to find out your understanding. How much do you have to pay if you just buy one ice cream, right? So pretty straightforward. One ice cream will cost $1, and two ice cream will cost two. Three ice cream will cost three. 10 ice cream will cost $10, right? $10. Now, if I were to ask you the rate, meaning how much does one ice cream cost, I will take the amount of money divide by the number of cones, right? Which is your y divided by x. So if I understand this correctly, 1 divided by 1, I still get 1. If I pay $2 for two ice cream, I take $2 divided by 2, I still get 1. Now, can you guess and what is the remaining blanks? Pretty straightforward, right? So all of them are 1. So do you notice about the rate? Is the rate the same? So actually we can say that this is the same rate, right? Same rate. So this same rate idea is very crucial in today's topic. Alright, so let's move on and understand it. So we say that when the number of cones increases, right? So if you increase, the amount of money you pay also increases, right? So this is increases, and the idea is proportionally. So the idea of proportionally means it is increasing in the same rate. That means if let's say I double the 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 ice cream, I pay double. If I multiply by 5, I should pay 5 times more. Okay, so with that idea, I would then want you to make an observation about the rate. Write down your observation, then we go through the answer. So do you see that the rate is the same? Alright, another word of same is that the rate is a constant. Okay, so same and constant actually has the same meaning, right? Now when x increases, y actually increases proportionally, right? If x goes down, then y also goes down proportionally. So in this case, we call this relationship a direct proportion. Okay, now direct proportion means that the rate is a constant, right? So the same rate here also links to a direct proportion. Okay, so now let's understand how we represent this in a equation. So from just now what we observe, y over x, the rate of a proportion is a constant, right? So if we were to convert this into an equation, let's see how it looks like. Let's see how it looks like. Now, so is usually in equation form actually means equal, right? Constant is a word, so maybe let's represent this by a letter k. So we say that actually y over x is equal to k. Alright, and because it's k, sometimes we just put the over 1, right? Now copy this down. If I ask a question, how do you remove the denominator? Can you show me the next step highlighted in pink? What will you fill in this blank? Did I here cross multiply? So multiply upwards, multiply upwards. So I say that y is equal to kx, isn't it? Now, so if we say that y is directly proportional to x, then we can then put the pink statement here lah. So then we say that actually this is y equals to kx. Make sense to you? Or we can say x equals to ky, right? It doesn't matter. So these two are the same. So don't have to worry like, should I put y first or k first? Okay. Take note, k cannot be 0. If k is 0, then there's no, because if k is 0, may I ask what is y? Y will be 0 times x, right? So y also 0. So there's no proportion to say with, because it's just 0. Okay. Now with this, we want to then look at the graphical representation, what it actually means in a graph. Now if y is directly proportional to x, we can say that y equals to kx, right? So this is what we concluded just now. Yeah, and so y equals to kx, right? And y equals to kx, k is a constant. So say for example, if k is a number, then straight away y equals to 2x, right? Now then my question is, how do we actually draw y equals to kx? How do we draw this highlighted graph? Do you recall equation that looks like that? Y equals to mx plus c. Now, so mx plus c, we want to notice that the power is 1. So over here, if the power is 1, and the power is 1, so we see that these two are the same form, but there isn't a c, right? Now, so you can understand it as like, c is actually a 0. Now, so recall again, c actually means y-intercept, right? And if y-intercept is 0, then I can very quickly draw a line like this. Yeah? So it's a straight line that passes through the origin, right? Because there's no y-intercept. So there are two observations here. So if y is directly proportional to x, we say that the first one, y against x is a straight line that passes through the origin. The second one will be something to do with the gradient, right? So let's recall how to find the gradient. Now gradient means I want to draw a vertical line and a horizontal line, and because vertical line is my y-axis, so this is my y, this is my x. So if I say y over x, actually I am talking about gradient, because gradient is rise over run, right? Earlier on in set 1, we learned that gradient is rise over run. And therefore, we say that if y is equals to kx and k is equals to y over x, then the k is the gradient. Okay? Alright, so let's go through the idea and use this idea to solve questions, right? Because we want to understand how does this help us to solve some questions. So we will go through the step in the question itself. Now, step number 1, it says I want to define the variable if necessary, and I want to form an equation. So let's look at the question itself. Now it says that the y is directly proportional to w is directly proportional to t, and if I want to use this to form one equation, I could then write w is equal to kt, right? Now step number 2, I want to then find the value of k based on the information given. Now in this one sentence question, this is the only information given, right? This is the info given. So step number 2, I will then sub in, right? When t is 4, w is 20, I'll put it in. Then I see, oh, actually my k can be found easily, right? I don't want the 4, I bring over the 4 and then I divide by 4. So 20 divided by 4, I get 5. Now step 3 is the very crucial step. So step 3 is always a very crucial step. Step 3 actually answer the question. Express w in terms of t. So I want you to take note that this is not the answer, or rather not the final answer. Okay, so always remember to rewrite the equation with the found value of k. So after you find k, rewrite the equation. So sub this back into the equation. There you go, w equals to 5t. Now, the last step is pretty straightforward. I want to answer the rest of the question. So what I do is I will just see what the question wants. The question wants t equals to 6. So when t equals to 6, I will now sub into this equation. Okay, because in this equation, k is already found. So replacing t with 6, I will have w equals to 30. Next one, w equals to 45. Again, very straightforward. I could sub w equals to 45 and then find out what is t. Alright, pause the video. Once everyone is done, let's go on to the next question. Okay, next question I want you to do before we go through the solution. So teacher, please help to pause the video and let student try. Now, I will still write out 1, 2, 3, 4, but in exam, there is no need to write out the steps because this is just practice. So I want to spell out what we are doing. Step number 1, I want to form an equation. So highlight y varies, don't need steps, no, don't need to label the steps. Alright, now y varies directly as x. Now this is another way of saying that y is direct proportion. Also, you want to know that there are a few ways to describe direct proportion. One is direct proportion itself, one is vary directly. So because y vary directly as x, we say that y equals to kx. Step 2, I want to find the value of k. So using 8 and 5, I will then find out the value of k. Step 3, I want to rewrite the equation. And this is very crucial, even though they never ask, always do this step. Step number 4, answer the rest of the question. X is 30. I want to sub this inside the found equation, and then you get 48. Good? Okay. Now, last question before we go to our practice. Now, if in each of the table with clear working and explanation, determine whether they are in direct proportion. So I want you to create a cloud thinking bubble, right? And understand, right? If they are in direct proportion, then we say that y must be equal to kx. If and k is actually equals to y over x. That means this k is a constant, is a fixed number. It's a fixed number. That means this number don't change. Now y and x can change, but k cannot change. So let's make use of the first two. numbers to see whether they are a fixed number or not. So when x is 2, y is 10, we say that k is equals to 5. When x is 4, y is 20, I see that, oh, k is still 5. But you must not stop here, you must continue to test. Let's look at 6 and 25. 6 and 25 cannot, because k is not equals to 5. Okay, then you can stop testing already, because once one k value is not the same, we can actually stop the testing. So we can conclude, right? If k is not a constant, then we say that x and y is not in direct proportion. That's the answer. Okay, so with this understanding, can you, teacher, please pause the video and you try out on yourself. Okay, now let's check the answer. Checking the four values of k seems to be the same value, equals to 3, right? So we say that since k is a constant, x and y is in direct proportion. Now, I would like all of you to try these 4 questions now and submit in Google Classroom. So take out your PLD, do these 4 questions in your PLD and submit by tomorrow. Okay, because there's some in-class time, complete this and I'll and submit tomorrow. Alright? Okay, that's the end of lesson. Teacher, please allow students to take out their PLD and do their work in their PLD.